The film opens inside a prison yard, where we see a tall, muscular inmate competing in a slapping match against other prisoners. It's a raw display of dominance. The man looks incredibly strong, the kind of inmate no one would want to challenge. But during the match, a heavy-set prisoner named Schick lands a devastating slap on him, knocking him completely to the ground. After that moment, Schick is acknowledged by everyone as the strongest inmate in the prison. No one dares to challenge him anymore. But then, unexpectedly, a skinny, innocent-looking young man steps forward from the crowd. This is Hyun-soo. The other inmates immediately start laughing. To them, he looks like a kid who could be blown away by a strong gust of wind. No one believes he stands a chance. But Hyun-soo doesn't look scared at all. He calmly prepares for the match. And it's important to understand, Hyun-soo is not an ordinary guy. We'll learn much more about him soon. Before the first slap, Schick and Hyun-soo decide who goes first by playing rock, paper, scissors. Hyun-soo loses. That means he has to take the first hit. Schick delivers a brutal slap. It's so powerful that Hyun-soo stumbles badly and almost collapses. But he refuses to give up. He steadies himself. Now it's his turn. Hyun-soo swings back with everything he has and slaps Schick across the face with full force. But surprisingly, Schick barely reacts. The match continues back and forth. The rule is simple. It goes on until one of them gives up. Eventually, Hyun-soo cheats. Instead of delivering a slap, he throws a punch straight at Schick's face. The unexpected hit knocks Schick to the ground. One of the inmates watching closely is Han Jae-ho. He immediately notices the cheating, but instead of being upset, he seems impressed. Meanwhile, Schick is furious about being beaten by someone who looks like a teenager. He lunges at Hyun-soo, and his gang members jump in as well. Hyun-soo cleverly fights them off alone for a while, showing surprising skill. But guards rush in and stop the fight. As punishment, Hyun-soo is thrown into solitary confinement. Later, Han Jae-ho visits him. Han tells him that he's new here and shouldn't be picking fights so quickly. The man he beat, Schick, is dangerous. Hyun-soo needs to be careful. After saying that, Han leaves. The next morning, another inmate tells Hyun-soo that Schick and his gang won't try to mess with him again. Han personally warned them not to touch him. Hyun-soo asks who Han really is. The inmate explains that Han makes the rules inside this prison. He's the leader. Not only do inmates fear him, people outside the prison fear him too. He's the boss of a major mafia organization. His power inside prison doesn't come from his outside reputation, though. It comes from underground fights organized by the warden. Whoever wins those fights controls the prison, and Han has never lost. That's why he lives here like a king. Anyone under his protection cannot be touched. But months later, everything changes. A new inmate arrives, Kim Sung-han. The moment Kim steps into the prison, tension spreads. Even hardened criminals lower their eyes when they hear his name. He's more terrifying than Han. Han approaches him with a business proposal. They should work together in the prison cigarette smuggling operation. Han isn't scared of Kim. There are two reasons for this offer. First, Han's release date is approaching, and he doesn't want unnecessary conflict. Second, Han understands enemies and traps very well. But Kim isn't interested. Right then, Han receives bad news. One of his most trusted men has been captured. Han rushes to see him and finds that the warden has beaten him nearly to death. This means something serious. The warden has switched sides. He's now backing Kim. Han is furious, but the warden orders the guards to brutally beat Han as well, and Han ends up in solitary confinement. After several days, Han is released. He's visibly weakened, and that's when Schick, who once feared Han, tries to kill him. But Hyun-soo steps in at the last second and pushes Schick away, saving Han's life. The warden arrives and detains both of them. He asks Hyun-soo if he has any proof that Schick attacked Han, even though the warden already knows the truth. He's trying to protect Kim's side. Later, Hyun-soo visits Han in his cell. Han asks him directly, "Why did you save me?" Hyun-soo says something simple. He helps people because that's what his mother taught him. That answer strengthens the bond between them. The next day, both of them go straight to the warden. Hyun-soo tells the warden he wants to report ongoing smuggling activities inside the prison, and that he has proof. He shows him a photograph that clearly includes the warden himself. The warden's face changes immediately. This was Han's strategy. He told Hyun-soo to present this evidence. The warden, panicking, slaps Hyun-soo, but Han slaps him back and warns him that if these photos reach the inspection committee, the warden will lose his job first. Trapped, the warden switches sides again and returns to supporting Han. Han seizes the opportunity. He captures Kim and Shik inside the prison kitchen and begins torturing them. Under pressure, Shik finally breaks and confesses. Everything was planned by a man named Man Cheol, Han's own superior outside prison. Man Cheol ordered them to eliminate Han. In exchange, they were promised a 1/3 share in the prison smuggling profits. Han is shocked, betrayed by his own people. Hyun-soo watches Han's terrifying rage and grows nervous. He tries to remain calm, making sure his true identity doesn't slip. And then the story shifts. We learn the truth. Hyun-soo is not just a prisoner, he is an undercover officer. His mission is to befriend Han, gain his trust, and dismantle his criminal organization from the inside. It's an extremely dangerous assignment. His chief officer is In-suk, a ruthless and highly driven investigator. She's willing to cross any line to solve a case. She promised Hyun-soo that if he succeeds, she will arrange a kidney donor for his sick mother, who desperately needs a transplant to survive. For his mother, Hyun-soo accepted this deadly mission. Over time, he fully gains Han's trust. Then one day, In-suk calls him and tells him a donor has been found for his mother. But she reminds him, don't forget the mission. Around this time, Man Cheol's nephew Byung-gab visits Han. Byung-gab hates his uncle because Man Cheol once publicly humiliated and beat him. Byung-gab knows his uncle wants Han dead, so he secretly proposes an alliance with Han to overthrow Man Cheol. Han agrees, cautiously. He trusts no one completely, not even Hyun-soo. In fact, he already asked Byung-gab to investigate Hyun-soo's background, but nothing suspicious was found. Meanwhile, Hyun-soo is happy, believing his mother will soon recover. But that happiness doesn't last. He suddenly receives devastating news. His mother has died in an accident. Hyun-soo is completely shattered. Han sees him broken like this and feels concerned. After calming himself, Hyun-soo calls In-suk, begging for one day of temporary release to attend his mother's funeral. She refuses. For her, the mission comes first. Hyun-soo cries and pleads. She doesn't care. In desperation, he threatens to reveal everything to Han. In-suk coldly responds that if he does, she'll erase his police record and leave him to rot in prison as a criminal. Hyun-soo can't believe how ruthless she is. Overcome with rage and grief, when Han tries to comfort him, Hyun-soo lashes out and starts fighting him. Han doesn't want to hit him, but eventually restrains him and calms him down. The next day, unexpectedly, the warden grants Hyun-soo 1 day of supervised release for the funeral. This wasn't In-suk, it was Han. Han paid for everything. With Han's help, Hyun-soo gets to see his mother one last time and perform her funeral rites. That night, back in prison, Han opens up about his painful past. He teaches Hyun-soo something important. Never trust anyone too quickly. Then Han asks him a question. After release, will you become my junior? Work under me? Hyun-soo is torn. On one side, there's In-suk, who uses him like a tool. On the other side, there's Han, a gangster, but someone who showed him real kindness. And finally, Hyun-soo tells Han the truth. He confesses he's an undercover agent working with a secret unit to destroy his gang. The story then moves forward several months. The day finally arrives when Hyun-soo is released from prison. As he steps outside the gates, he sees something unexpected. Multiple bodyguards waiting, along with a red luxury car parked right in front. Inside the car is Han Jae-ho, who had already been released months earlier. Han personally came to pick him up. That same night, Han takes Hyun-soo to a lavish party. This is the first time Hyun-soo meets Man Cheol, the real boss behind the organization. Man Cheol immediately likes Hyun-soo's confidence and attitude. Without hesitation, he assigns him responsibility in an upcoming smuggling operation. But not everyone is pleased. Byung-gab, Man Cheol's nephew, is irritated. He tries to intimidate Hyun-soo, attempting to assert dominance. What he doesn't expect is that Hyun-soo calmly turns a gun back on him instead of backing down. That fearless reaction is exactly why Man Cheol liked him in the first place. Han quickly steps in to calm things down. But Man Cheol is furious at Byung-gab's behavior and slaps him publicly, humiliating him again. The next day, however, Man Cheol privately calls Byung-gab. He assures him that Hyun-soo will never replace him, but in exchange, Byung-gab must kill Han after the next deal is completed. Man Cheol has grown uneasy. He feels that Han doesn't truly see him as the boss. He suspects Han might eventually try to overthrow him, so he wants Han eliminated first. For the upcoming smuggling deal, they need a stamp from a thug named Choi, who controls the checkpoint. Without Choi's approval stamp, the shipment can't move. Han and Hyun-soo go to Choi's hideout to obtain it. Meanwhile, police are monitoring their movements. Hyun-soo is still secretly in contact with In-suk. His friendship with Han is still part of the mission, or at least that's what it appears to be. He's even wearing a watch equipped with a tracking device. Inside the hideout, Hyun-soo tries negotiating with Choi for the stamp. Choi refuses. Suddenly, Hyun-soo loses patience. He stabs Choi's hand with a knife. That instantly triggers chaos. Choi's men attack him, and a brutal fight breaks out. Outside, Han and Byung-gab sense something is wrong. Before they can leave, more of Choi's men arrive. Han jumps into the fight with his crew. At this moment, Han's only concern is protecting Hyun-soo. Inside, Hyun-soo is fighting a massive man. He strikes him repeatedly with an iron rod, but it barely affects him. The larger man slams Hyun-soo around violently. Just in time, Han steps in and saves him. Together, they overpower Choi's men. Afterward, Hyun-soo beats Choi again and finally takes the stamp. However, during the fight, Hyun-soo's tracking watch breaks. Because of that, police lose access to his real-time location. When they return, Man Cheol is pleased with Hyun-soo for securing the stamp. Later, Han takes Hyun-soo to a nightclub to negotiate with the Russian mafia, but he tells Hyun-soo to wait outside. Deep down, Han still doesn't fully trust him. While Hyun-soo waits, one of his police contacts pulls him aside and hands him a new tracking watch so they can gather solid evidence against Han. But at that exact moment, Han walks out and notices them talking. He demands to know who that man is. Hyun-soo smoothly lies and says he doesn't know him, just someone bothering him. Han loses control and begins beating the man brutally. Hyun-soo has to physically pull Han away before he kills him. Afterward, Han asks again, "Who was that?" This time, Hyun-soo tells the truth. He admits the man was a police informant trying to give him another tracking device. Han immediately grabs Hyun-soo and searches him, making sure he isn't still cooperating with the police. He finds nothing. Han then takes Hyun-soo to a quiet, isolated place. There, he apologizes for doubting him. He opens up emotionally. Han says that all he has ever received in life is betrayal. From friends, from allies, even from the man he worked under for 20 years. That's why trusting anyone is difficult for him. Hearing this, Hyun-soo becomes emotional again. He tells Han to trust him. He promises he will never betray him and will prove his loyalty. 2 days before the smuggling operation, Byung-gab suddenly asks Han how he could trust a cop. Byung-gab had already discovered in prison that Hyun-soo was an undercover officer sent to take down Han. And here comes a shocking revelation. Han already knew. He found out long ago. That's why he orchestrated the accident that killed Hyun-soo's mother. By making Hyun-soo emotionally vulnerable, Han positioned himself as the only person Hyun-soo could rely on. He helped him attend the funeral, paid for everything, and earned his trust. Eventually, Hyun-soo confessed his true identity voluntarily. Han didn't kill him because he recognized something rare in him: honesty, a good heart. So instead of eliminating him, Han made him his right-hand man. Meanwhile, we see Hyun-soo visiting his mother's grave. Suddenly, unknown men abduct him. They pour gasoline over him and claim that Han gave them his location. Hyun-soo is shocked. He can't believe Han would betray him like that. But the truth is different. These men aren't Han's people. They're police officers trying to turn Hyun-soo fully against Han. And it works. Enraged, Hyun-soo reveals details of the upcoming smuggling operation to In-suk. He also asks her about his mother's accident. In-suk knows the truth, that Han was responsible. But she lies, saying the investigation is ongoing. She doesn't want Hyun-soo losing focus on the mission. Hyun-soo returns to Han. Han notices bruises on his face and asks what happened. Hyun-soo says nothing. Then the smuggling day arrives. Hyun-soo secretly informs In-suk of the exact port location. In-suk arrives with a large police force and arrests them on the spot. She begins opening the cargo boxes, but inside, there are no drugs. Hyun-soo and Han had already thrown the drugs into the sea before police arrived. With no evidence, In-suk has no choice but to release them. Afterward, Han and Man Cheol celebrate the successful deal. But during the celebration, when Man Cheol tells Han to raise a drink, Han responds coldly. He doesn't drink with dead men. Before Man Cheol understands what that means, Han shoots him multiple times, killing him. At the same time, In-suk realizes something. Hyun-soo is still standing with Han. So, she plays her final card. She calls Hyun-soo in and shows him surveillance footage of his mother's accident. In the video, Hain is clearly visible. Hyun-soo freezes. The man he defended, the man he trusted, the man he almost chose over the law. That man killed his mother. And in that moment, everything changes. So, after watching the accident footage, Hyun-soo is completely shaken. He realizes he made a huge mistake befriending a gangster. From that moment on, Hyun-soo has only one goal: help the law and take down the man who killed his mother. He immediately calls Han. He lies. He tells Han that the police have discovered their hideout and are planning a raid soon. Because of that, they need to move the remaining goods tonight. Under police surveillance, Hyun-soo goes to Han's old base to meet him. When they meet, Han says something unexpected. He suggests that maybe it's time to leave this illegal life behind and start fresh somewhere else. Hyun-soo looks at him and says something cold. "You only know how to kill people, like you killed my mother." The moment those words come out, Han understands everything. He realizes the police are involved and that Hyun-soo knows the truth. Han immediately points a gun at him. But Hyun-soo knows something. Han won't kill him. Han still needs him as leverage to escape if things go wrong. And then the police storm in. Gunfire erupts. But strangely, when officers enter, they only see Hyun-soo. Han is hidden. Suddenly, from behind cover, Han starts shooting the police officers. Several of them fall. In the chaos, one officer grabs Hyun-soo and holds him hostage, choking him and demanding Han's surrender. Han sees Hyun-soo struggling. He could leave. He could escape. Instead, he steps out and shoots the officer to save Hyun-soo. At that moment, Han could have shot Hyun-soo too, but he doesn't. He simply walks away. Outside, as Han tries to flee, In-suk takes her chance. She runs him over with her car, slamming into him hard. Han collapses on the road. In-suk immediately searches his pockets, looking for drugs or evidence to justify everything. But she finds nothing. Then she begins searching his car for proof. And that's when Hyun-soo arrives. Without hesitation, he shoots In-suk. Somewhere deep down, he knows she shares responsibility for his mother's death. She manipulated him. She used him. She hid the truth to protect the mission. After shooting her, Hyun-soo walks toward Han. Han is dying. Hyun-soo kneels beside him. For a moment, memories flash. Prison fights, late-night talks, the funeral, the promises, the trust. Hyun-soo tells him something painful. After his mother, the only person Hyun-soo ever trusted was Han, and that's exactly why this hurts. Finally, Hyun-soo says goodbye. He covers Han's mouth and nose, suffocating him. Han dies, and with that, the story comes to an end.